Welcome back to my channel, guys. I'm so happy to see you. And guess what? We've changed things around again, which is what interior designers do. We're going to show you the transformation of the space. We said goodbye to the Mario Bellini. You know why? Because the Nina Takesh has arrived. We changed this entire living room head to toe, top to bottom. And we can't wait we're going to actually do an episode about this on another day, because today we are going to be talking about the next big design trend, which is so fun for 2026, and it's called Modern Tuscan. I apologize, I have lost my voice from being in Paris during Fashion Week for interior design, and it was mayhem, so much fun. If you guys aren't watching the vlog, well, you are missing out because everyone's going crazy over what happened in London and in Paris. We're gonna link the vlog here. Here's some footage of what goes on behind the scenes, which is, in my opinion, so fun. And people are really enjoying watching these vlogs, so I encourage you to subscribe so that you get notified as well. So every few years, design does this little reset, and we get tired of cold minimalism. Then we swing too far into the cozy maximalism, and then eventually we crave something that just feels right again. I was just thinking these exact thoughts yesterday, actually, that I'm sharing with you today, when we were redoing this living room, and I thought to myself, this is what I was doing 15 years ago, you know, and I'm so glad that people are also espousing this new, really good design ethos, which is, of course, timeless. So let's talk about what I mean by modern Tuscan design. And basically, it's a warm and grounded, quiet luxury design. And it's about defining interiors in 2026 and beyond. By Tuscan, I don't literally mean Tuscany. I think it's a little bit more elaborate and a little bit more palatable than just Tuscan. So you're going to want to understand this. So anyway, stay with me till the end, because I'm going to share the one design principle that makes modern Tuscan really timeless. It's the same principle top designers are using to make even simple spaces feel rich and layered. But before we dive in, if you love design talk as much as I do, and this community does, that teaches you something, make sure you hit the subscribe button. It really helps the channel. It makes our job so much easier to be able to reach you and other people, and we would be forever grateful. Let's take a little trip back to early 2000s. Tuscan style was everywhere. Dark red walls, faux plaster finishes, heavy scroll work, travertine everything. This is not your grandmother's Tuscan. This is why I said you gotta watch, because it was, if you guys remember, every kitchen had dark cherry cabinets, a pot rack, and a bottle of Chianti pretending to be decor. And we were so sick of it. And that's why we transitioned to what was absolute bland design. Now, listen, it had its charm, it was romantic, it was dramatic, and it meant to feel old world, but it was heavily skewed to one side of the spectrum. And somewhere along the way, we lost the air, literally, in the rooms. Like, you couldn't breathe. And when I go into a lot of these redos, I get hired quite often to change what is a Cheesecake Factory Florence design, is the best way I can describe this. Like the Vegas definition of Tuscan, I am hired regularly to transform those spaces. So let's get into what I mean is really good that's happening right now. And now we're literally standing in this beautiful in-between moment where we crave texture, warmth again, but we don't want to go back to the faux vines and tumbled stone floors. Not in the way that it was done previously. Modern Tuscan is not about a theme. It's about tone. This is my design ethos, has always been, will always be. And if I had designed your home in 2000, it would have been this modern Tuscan style. Because imagine an old villa sitting in the hills of Tuscany. Stone walls, wooden beams, the kind of place that's been there for centuries. Now, instead of restoring it to look brand new or perfectly polished, you keep its character. The worn stone, the soft plaster, the sunlight bouncing off of the walls and every surface, and you mix in a few clean modern pieces. That is what is delicious. That balance between old soul and modern simplicity, that's what we call modern Tuscan. It's rooted in great correct architecture. It is not themey. It doesn't have a lot of decor. It's not riddled with items that are going to collect dust. It's the warmth and texture of the Italian countryside combined with the simplicity and calm of contemporary design. This is what you will see when you travel to Italy to really fine estates and villas. So it's less like grandma's rustic retreat and more hotel deliciousness. So visually, here's what defines it, and I believe that Oscar also agrees. The color palette has warm neutrals. Think sand, clay, soft ochre, stone white. Materials are delicious because you have limestone, plaster, wood, iron, linen. Nothing glossy, nothing plasticky. The shapes are clean but not cold. Curves are back. Arched doorways are definitely in, rounded edges, handmade pottery with a little wobble to it. Now, if I had to describe modern Tuscan in one word, it would be texture. This style whispers luxury through material, not logos or gloss or over decoration. So it's all about tactility. You want to feel the space, not just look at it. So plaster walls, forget that dry wall lime wash or Venetian plaster that was very hot back then. It is more of a lime wash or a Roman clay, something a little bit more sophisticated without the shine of what was used to be the greatest, hottest material that everyone was dying for. Stone, you've got travertines, you've got limestones, and they're honed. They're not polished, they're not shiny, and they're raw and chalky, and they have matte finish, and they can have gently tumbled edges as well. Wood. So you're talking about an aged oak, maybe even a bleached walnut. It's not too dark. It's not that brand new cherry red. It's something that looks lived in and patinaed, say maybe 50 years. Iron. Remember the ornate scrolls from 2003 that were in people's staircases and balcony railings, etc. Today's iron is structural. It's blackened, it's linear, it's architectural. And I remember in the year 2000, I visited this home that had all of this combination that I just described. And I knew that that was literally the best house in the entire block, and this was in Beverly Hills on a street called Whittier. It was magnificent. Today you see a lot more iterations of this because people have evolved in their design, and certainly in the US, I find that the designs have gotten very sophisticated. They're getting better and better as each year goes by, as more architects and interior designers who have traveled the world come back, share their design ethos with the rest of the world. So having social media to a certain degree and Pinterest has been very helpful in getting the Italian versions of design and European ethos back into the US. So I'm really excited about that. And Modern Tuscan is the boutique sort of vineyard that only locals know about. It's the same DNA, but refined, natural, and elevated. Here's what's fascinating. Modern Tuscan isn't just a look, it's a response. So after a decade of sterile sort of perfection, while kitchens were glossy quartz and minimal everything, we collectively started craving imperfection again. And certainly after being stuck in our homes for so long in sterile environments, we were about to crawl the walls. So we want things that feel real, okay? Things with soul, things with balance, and not everything everywhere. We want the younger generation of homeowners especially are drawn to heritage aesthetics. But they don't want to live in a museum. They want spaces that are truly emotional, they're layered, they're easy. I was reading an article over the weekend about Jennifer Aniston, who was being interviewed, and of course she lives in a magnificent home. And guess what? She sits on the floor. Her dogs jump on the sofas. It is a very beautiful, interior. You might have seen it in Architectural Digest at some point. But my point is, it's livable, it's layered, and it's easy. So modern Tuscan is quietly pushing back against sort of the disposable design. I would say it's slow, it's grounded, it's sustainable, it's collected. You can find it in estate sales, and it's about craftsmanship. So it really is something that I believe was here, is here, and will continue to remain. Now, you already see the signs. Designers are embracing texture and imperfection. You've seen it everywhere now with the pottery that's really hot, even in everyday China. You're even seeing this in big box stores that are really figuring out that bringing in partnerships with good designers such as West Elm and others is really helpful in bringing sort of that updated, upgraded Tuscan vibe that's modernized and beautiful. So we're entering the age of warm minimalism, and modern Tuscan is leading the charge. We also talked about colonial design, which we won't get into in this episode, but a lot of you remember me talking about how that's going to be in the next decade. And that is very much true. And we will dissect the difference between colonial design and modern Tuscan, perhaps in a future episode. If you're interested in really diving into modern colonial design, please sound off below, because we make content that you guys want. So if that is something you're interested in, there are a lot of similarities, but some differences. Please sound off below, because that's also very hot. So texture is everything, as I mentioned. Plastered walls and natural stone and linens and woods, and you can really visualize all of this coming together, hopefully, and especially because we're going to be throwing in lots of visuals for you to look at and absorb. And that is actually why I did a second Ruggable collection, by the way, because I said to Ruggable, I need to bring in these rusts and these warm and these greens into my collection. And design has changed, dramatically over the last 2 years, and it did. And I need to bring in some of these earthy colors. And of course, the ones that I designed in 2.0, and even some in 1.0 actually, I would argue will look gorgeous in modern Tuscan. It's not too traditional, it's not too modern, it's that perfect balance that we're all striving for that is essentially timeless. So that's really the point. This style feels elevated, but never precious. It's relaxed and just livable. All right, let's get practical. If you want to bring modern Tuscan into your home, here's how to design like an expert. Start with the bones. If you can, soften your walls. Even a lime wash paint from Portola, and of course this is not sponsored, unpaid, I love their paints, will instantly create the sunlit texture vibe. Easy to apply, you can do it yourselves. And if you know how to paint, of course, and warm up your palette. Replace cool grays with clays, taupes, ivories, and sand, and the room should glow, not glare. Focus on proportion. Tuscan spaces and good design spaces in general feel grounded, low, wide furniture, deep sofas, substantial tables, nothing dainty, and nothing oversized. Layer materials, so mix your stones, your irons, your woods, mix your metal colors. You want visual depth, even neutral tones. So, by the way, use your iron sparingly as punctuation. You don't want too much iron. I would argue that I have too much iron in this space, and I would, what can you do? You evolve, you learn as you go on. I designed this house, maybe I built it 10 years ago, but designed it 15 years ago, and I would definitely have held back if I were to start over. So use it sparingly. You could always bring more if need be, but you'll find that minimal is the way to go. If ever you are in a conundrum and your gut tells you, oh, that's too much, and then your intellect tells you, you got to add it because it's fancy. Listen to your gut. If you have a conundrum right now, go with the simpler, easier, sometimes even most of the time less expensive decision. Why? Because you will not regret it. More is not better. Less and really cherry-picked items and thoughtful items are always better. Something I love doing, which I did in my house because it's brand new, was brand new, now it's 10 years old, is to add imperfection. Because a brand new everything house, like a spec house, a builder grade house, a lot of us purchase, well, they look too new. And I say, please, can we bring in some vintage pieces to clients? Or can we go on eBay? Can we just go to First Dibs or whatever it may be, depending on your budget? And let's get some real, I mean, look, I have I'm gonna grab it. This is very unlike me when it comes to the red elevator. I don't get up from my seat. But on the vlog, on the other hand, I'm all over the place. But look, this was literally, I don't know, $10 from an estate sale. It is in this room with the Nina Takesh sofa, which is expensive because these are very well made. I have a furniture line and everything is very, very expensive, unfortunately, or fortunately, because they will last. They are heirloom pieces. You can give them to your grandchildren one day. You can give them to your children at some point. So this, again, you mix in things that are imperfect, you mix in things that have history, and then you have a perfect combination of things. Remember, we're going for Italian countryside elegance, not Olive Garden. For those of you who ask, I am wearing head-to-toe Fabrique today because I find their clothes to be so well made, so beautifully designed, and very comfortable to live and work in. Everything, of course, will be linked in the description section, so you can check it out. All right, you guys stay till the end, which means you are my favorite people. And here's a design secret I promised. Good things come to those who wait, my mother would say. Modern Tuscan works because of one thing and one thing only, and that's contrast. Rough and refined, light and shadow, matte and smooth, old and new. Please remember those words. They're very simple and deep in your depth of your soul. You know that, but most people forget it and don't implement it. The tension is what makes your eye linger. Without contrast, a space is flat. With it, it breathes, it tells a story. That's the magic of modern Tuscan. It's imperfect, but traditional. It's rustic, but refined. It's complicated, and it has a sweet spot in my heart. And if you're ready to design a home that feels timeless, textural, and deeply human, well, modern Tuscan could be your exact moment. I almost cried, Gabby. If this deep dive sparks some interest in you, to be kind enough to hit that subscribe button, which is free, you will have helped the channel tremendously and my team who works so hard to bring you this wonderful, hopefully useful content. And I want to thank you guys for bringing me into your home. I want to thank you guys for everyone who takes the time to write a comment. I read them all. I literally read them all. I tend to reply to the comments that come in sooner. So if you want to hear from me, write a comment as soon as you see this so that I can respond to you. If you have questions, I'm here. And I love you guys. I can't wait to see you again next week on this channel, The Red Elevator.